in the query. Now, from the previous hack that we ran on the PTU site, we realized that we had to close the input for username first using a single quote and then continue on with our further MySQL query. So here, this has been taken care of by removing all the single quotes inside the query. And next we have str replace of double quotes, so then all the double quotes are removed. Then we have replace of all these characters which have to be escaped. Now then, these arguments, the arguments that are passed along with the query, like what we saw in Windows script, like the user ID as $user ID here. Now these arguments are walked through a function called escape by ref. Now let's look at what this function does. Escape by ref. Right, so now we see that this function is in turn calling a function called real escape. Let's look at what real escape is doing now. Oh, sorry about that. Function real escape. So here we are. Now this function real escape is checking if real escape has been defined, then it'll go through a MySQL real escape string for this string, that is the argument which has been passed. Now what MySQL real escape string does, if you can check out according to the PHP documentation, it will remove all those single quotes, double quotes, etc. and put slashes before them so that they become useless. So even if the user manually enters a MySQL statement with a quote to end the previous input, it would not work since there would be slashes before them. That's exactly what is done otherwise too. There's add slashes for $string. So this seems to be pretty foolproof, and we just have to make sure that every WPDB query is now preceded by a WPDB prepare function like this one here. So what we see, this msedit.php does use WPDB prepare, whereas this one does too. It does WPDB query only after WPDB prepare. Now are there places where it's not prepared, and there could be an input from the user? Well, does not seem to have any variables. Oh well, there are quite a few here. Now we see that many of these do not use WPDB prepare. So once we update all these with the WPDB prepare before it's run through the WP query, it should be done. So that's the first job that we have. Insert WPDB prepare just before WPDB query, like for this one, link.php. There is no WPDB prepare for this particular query. So now if we put in a WPDB prepare before this, it should make it safe enough. That's the first thing. Now the second thing that we should realize is that MySQL real escape string will escape all those characters which could be used except the characters percentage and underscore, because these two characters are MySQL character matching strings. Now this can be used only with MySQL queries which involve like. Now let's look at where such vulnerabilities can be used. In fact, before doing that, let's see if they're not already taken care. Let's go into the security research site again. Now when I search for percentage, well, what do we see here? There are so many answers to percentage which should not make any sense if it were any layman's search terms. Now here percentage gave all these results because percentage in a like query in MySQL means match anything with it. Now, for example, if I give s%l, now it gives me everything again, because it will give me all those which has percentage in the middle, that is anything, and anything stands for any block here. So hence it gives me all these results. This should not happen. The user should not be allowed to give a percentage or an underscore here, because if he does, then it could possibly lead to the server actually searching for each and every particular entry in the server and returning all of those. Now when the server has a lot of entries, this could clog the server and make it unusable, and a bot could probably make the server crash instantly by just spamming the server with percentage queries. Now let's see how to make our site safe from such queries. Let's just search for like www.root in PHP. Let's see where all the like has been used in the MySQL queries. Well, okay, let's look at this MS sites. Fine. There are so many likes used here. Now let's see what we can do. Like for example, this one here, $like_s. Now what if this $like_s already had percentage symbols in them? Because that would make the total string percentage, which would again return everything from the blocks. Okay, so let's look at this particular PHP, mssites.php. Let's search for mssites.php. Let's open it. Okay, now let's search for the like here, case sensitive, find all. So here we come to the query. Now the query is concatenated with and wpdb blocks that domain like percentage $like_s percentage. Now we do realize that before this $like_s has been used, here $like_s is first the like escaped version of $s. So which means the like escape function removes percentage and underscore because they are used by MySQL to match strings. Now once like escape has been used, we now know for sure that this cannot contain any more strings which could bother us when using the like part in the query. So as long as there is an esc_SQL function preceded by like_escape of the string, there should not be any problem. So now our second job is to make sure any query which has a like in it and a variable which can be input from the user is first preceded by, or you should say sanitized by, using the like escape and esc_SQL functions. That should make the site spam free. So I think those two are the only two vulnerabilities, because MySQL real escape string will escape all those characters like quotes, etc., and the ones which are not escaped by this, that is percentage and underscore, are done by the like escape. So once those two are done, the user cannot manipulate any user inputs with percentage or underscore or any other character which MySQL would be sensitive to. So hence that leaves us with only two things to do. Make sure all the WPDB queries are preceded by the WPDB prepare functions, and make sure all the like queries use variables which have passed through the function like escape or esc_like before it is sent to WPDB query. Now that should make our site safe enough.